Hello people and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video I'm actually gonna show you how to recreate this MagnatesMedia video using only CAPCUT.
Growing up, meaning he never felt settled. One of those was a kibbutz in Israel, which was meant to be a self-sustaining socialist community.
So for those of you who don't follow me on my free Patreon, I actually just uploaded a video on how to get all the assets, and every week I'm making sure to upload uncut and exclusive content. And you can find my Patreon page on the very first link on the description. So as you can see, I've already got all my assets right here. I'm gonna start by importing our background. Next step, I'm gonna import our map right here. I'm gonna make it a tiny bit smaller. Next step, I'm gonna start by importing our localization pins right here. So I'm gonna make them smaller and put them around the map. And I'm gonna make sure to select it and go to animation to add an appearing animation. So I'm gonna go with the zoom in effect. I'm gonna duplicate it by selecting it and holding Alt and dragging it up. And I'm gonna drag it somewhere else on the map. And I'm gonna make sure to space out the animations. And I'm gonna duplicate it one last time by holding Alt and dragging it up. So to add some more animation, I'm gonna go to effects and drag in the play pendulum effect. I'm gonna turn down the twist, the strength, and the speed. As you can see, this adds a little bit of an animation. It's still subtle, but it's animated. So after animating all three of these, here's what we got. So I'm gonna import our magnifying glass right here, and I'm gonna rotate it just like this. And I'm gonna go somewhere around here, select it, and go to video, basic, and add a keyframe on transform. So I'm gonna go to the very first frame right here and make sure to drag it somewhere else on the screen. I'm gonna make sure our animation starts a little bit earlier, so I'm gonna drag it right here. I'm gonna make it slower, and I'm gonna make sure to rotate it this way so that you can see it animates the rotation. I'm gonna drag our player a few frames forward, and I'm gonna drag it right here. Go a few frames forward and drag it around here, and go a few frames forward and drag it back to the middle. As you can see in our reference image, once the magnifying glass passes on our map, the map gets bigger right here inside the magnifying glass to make it more realistic. So we're gonna recreate the same effect. So I'm gonna select all my layers besides the magnifying glass and right click, go to create compound clip. So after we made it into a compound clip, what I'm gonna do is select it, hold Alt and drag up to duplicate it. I'm gonna put it behind our magnifying glass. I'm gonna make sure that it's selected and go to video, basic, and make it slightly bigger. And I'm gonna go to mask, add a mask, and make sure it fits in our magnifying glass. So for this tutorial purpose, I'm not gonna make it 100% accurate, but at home you can try as much as you can to make it perfect. So once we got our mask fitting inside our magnifying glass, I'm gonna add a keyframe right here on mask settings. And right now I'm gonna do it frame by frame. So I'm gonna go on the very first frame where the magnifying glass enters our screen, and I'm gonna just move our mask to make sure it fits in every frame inside our magnifying glass. So I'm just gonna go frame by frame and make sure to adjust our mask. So as you can see, we've got a bunch of keyframes right here because I had fun moving all the keyframes one by one. So next step, what I'm gonna do is just go to effect, and I'm gonna add a blur on our background. I'm gonna drag in our blur focus right here on our base compound clip. I'm gonna adjust the blur and reduce the speed. I'm gonna make it shorter so that it starts only when our magnifying glass enters into our screen. So as you can see in our reference right here, once the magnifying glass stops moving right here, we have the farming video starting and then zooming in and taking the whole screen. So we're gonna recreate this effect. So as you can see right here on our last keyframe, our magnifying glass stops right here. So I'm gonna drag our playhead a little bit forward and add another keyframe to make it static. And I'm gonna go a little bit forward and zoom in. I'm gonna turn it to the max, which is 500%. Let's start adding our farming video. So I'm gonna drag it into our scene. I'm gonna hide it for the moment by pressing the hide track right here. And I want it to be starting just right here. Make sure it's selected and drag it behind our magnifying glass. I'm gonna add again a mask, go to add mask and go with the circle as well, and make sure to adjust it. As you can see in our reference image, it starts using this animation. So we're gonna recreate something similar. So I'm gonna select it and go to animation and try to look for something similar. So I'm gonna go with the screen wipe effect, make it 2 seconds, and just make sure to make our animation a little bit longer. So as you can see, we got something a little bit similar. And to make it more accurate, what I'm gonna do is just go to the start of our farming video. I'm gonna add a keyframe on opacity and make it into 0, and go a tiny bit forward and bring it to 100. So as you can see, it is a little bit more accurate. To finish our effect, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the very first frame where the magnifying glass starts zooming, and I'm gonna go to mask and add a mask setting keyframe. I'm gonna go to where our animation ends, so right here, and I'm gonna make sure that our mask gets bigger, and make sure to adjust in every keyframe. I'm not satisfied with this one, so I'm gonna move it a little bit right here, and I'm gonna do the same with every frame.
Up, meaning he never felt settled. One of those was a kibbutz in Israel, which was meant to be a self-sustaining socialist community.
And there you go, that was it for our today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions or suggestions, you're very welcome in the comments. Remember to follow my free Patreon if you want to get access to all our assets and uncut exclusive content. That was it, and see you in the next one.